You're watching The Citizen Report, real, in-depth American.
Welcome to The Citizen Report, everyone. I'm Jonathan Shannon. Thank you for joining me today. As always, this newscast is real, in-depth American. It's always good to be back here with you. Thank you so much for joining me. Well, as I mentioned in my last broadcast, that broadcast, the one I did last night, was going to be sort of the beginning of what I expect to be a multi-episode sort of coverage of sort of assessing what has been said, what has been alleged, and what we're discovering concerning what happened with Charlie Kirk. And I have some information today that I think is going to be very, very informative as to sort of calling into question what the mainstream Mockingbird media has been saying all this time about what really happened with the Charlie Kirk assassination. Now, if you haven't watched it already, please go back and watch my broadcast from last night. I went live on YouTube last night to really talk about all this. And I think it's very important to watch that before you watch the later ones because, for example, I go a little bit, I break down the framing, or I should say the sort of the bullet entering the frame from camera left to Charlie Kirk. And we're going to build on that today, okay? So let me just remind my audience before I really dive deep here that if you have not already, please go to my Rumble channel, The Citizen Report on Rumble, and subscribe there. Or bookmark the website thecitizenreport.net, because I'm covering the kind of stuff that could get me potentially suspended or removed from the YouTube platform. So I hope that doesn't happen. I've been on YouTube with this channel for years, going back to my college days. I certainly don't want to lose the channel, but if I did, there are other ways to get this newscast. So please make sure that you do that and do that as soon as possible, because I can't guarantee that I'll be, have a YouTube channel for any length of time because of the way YouTube has been. They are very much part of the deep state, controlled by the deep state, and I think I've said all I need to say on that. So without further ado, I want to talk a little bit about sort of the positioning of things, and I'm gonna take my time breaking this down. So I'm gonna spend the next few minutes really breaking down what appears to be the direction of the bullet versus the positioning that the mainstream media, where they claim that the shooter was, versus what seems to be what really happened. Now, just because I'm saying this doesn't mean that 100% of what I'm saying is true. I'm just simply saying there's more to this than what they're saying, okay? So viewer discretion is advised, because I'm going to be showing you some of that event, albeit, still shots, okay? It's not going to be a video this time. So let's go to that now with that disclaimer mentioned. And this is Charlie Kirk. Again, important to watch my last broadcast if you haven't already, because it shows you the sort of the motion of things, enough of it anyway. But as a refresher, just noting here the fact that Charlie Kirk is sitting from his point of view. The bullet is entering from his right, so stage right, as we would say in the video industry, or camera left. So the position of the camera, including this camera shot, would be from camera left. From that angle, camera left towards camera right. So you see clearly a black dot, which I would assume to be a bullet, entering in this picture, and you can see it above the word freedom, and it is traveling across, okay, and this, of course, is a still shot, okay? This is not a video this time. Now, I'm going to go, because I just wanted to sort of use this as a reference point, but I want to go now to the BBC, what they have produced in terms of imagery. And this is what they say, okay? that the person seen on roof of Lassie Center, okay, so slightly to the camera right position of Charlie Kirk, behind camera right, as it were, or from Charlie's point of view, his left. So stage left, camera right. And you see there, they claim it's about 142 yards or 130 meters, okay? And the box you see there towards the bottom left of the picture is where Charlie Kirk was sitting, okay? So I just want you to kind of sort of keep this, so as I present each frame, just kind of try to, retain what I'm saying, and I'm going to kind of build, so use your imagination. Like each picture I'm showing you, kind of remember as a reference point what I'm showing you and reconcile that to the next one, okay? Now, what I decided to do was create some lines, okay? So we're going to use the color red to represent the shot angle, as it were. Drawing an arrow from where they claim, mainstream media claims, Tyler Robinson was positioned. I'm going to use the color orange, I should say, to represent where, and I don't know exactly where to position it, but let's just say, generally speaking, from the other direction where it seems like the bullet was coming from, okay? So let's go to PowerPoint number 2 now. So there you see the red arrow roughly positioned over where the BBC had drawn their own arrow, okay? So that's just to represent, of course, where it's alleged Tyler Robinson was actually positioned, okay? So let's go to PowerPoint number 3. The reason I am drawing the other arrow is because of the fact that clearly the bullet was entering in from camera left. So it would be roughly from that position. So once again, it would be a continuity error because of the fact that while they claim that Tyler Robinson was from the roof of Lossy Center, which is, if you're following with the red arrow from that direction, it's clearly from the other direction, okay? Now let's go to PowerPoint number 4. Okay, so at this point we've established the discrepancy, the fact that the bullet was entering in from camera left, from somewhere from the general direction of the orange arrow, which could be from a slightly different position, but I'm just kind of using that as a representative sort of, kind of illustrative purposes. Now I just hopped on the browser and took this from the Google Earth website. And what this position is from where kind of the general direction where they claim that Tyler Robinson was positioned. So let's go to PowerPoint number 5, and let me make sure I did this right. Okay, so PowerPoint number 5 now, and you can see the red arrow represents where they claim Tyler Robinson fired his weapon from, okay, roughly speaking. Whereas the orange arrow represents the general direction it seems that the bullet was actually coming from. So clearly a discrepancy there, and it is unmistakably a discrepancy, or as we call in the broadcast video industry, or video film industry, a continuity error. Okay, so with that, let's now switch positions here on Google Earth. You will note now that the position has changed to be roughly from the vantage point of Charlie Kirk. Now, it's kind of hard to get a good framing of this. I tried my best, but basically this is the kind of position from bird's eye view of Charlie Kirk looking outward, as it were, okay? You have the building on the lower third position of this picture, and this there's a building that's going to be partly obscuring it, okay, where Charlie Kirk is actually sitting. But just to give you a sense of the positioning of the buildings versus where Charlie Kirk is looking out towards, okay? And of course the crowd is there, they would be covering much of this lawn, of course, right? In the kind of the stepping and all that stuff that you see there in the foreground. So let me go to PowerPoint 7 at this point. And this is going to be the red arrow, okay? That is from where they claim Tyler Robinson was firing his weapon from. The yellow or orange arrow is where I'm just kind of inferring a little bit. I'm taking some creative license here because I don't know really where to best line up the arrow, but clearly from that general direction, we'll say it could be from the other part of that building, but clearly the bullet was entering in from the direction of the orange arrow, not the red arrow that they want everyone to believe. So I hope that was a somewhat concise breakdown, as it were, of the positioning and everything. But that's not all, okay? So after I got off the air last night, I was winding down. I was actually in bed scrolling on my phone when I saw this, and I was stunned because there turns out in the immediate aftermath of the shooting, there was actually an eyewitness that literally said what I was saying. And I didn't even know either it came across my feed and I didn't really save it at the time and I forgot about it. But this guy was literally corroborating what I was saying, that the bullet was coming from a different direction. Now, he didn't know at the time that they were going to make this all narrative about from this direction. But, and I'll just put it back up on screen. So if this guy is standing in the crowd, and you'll see, and I'll play the footage in just a moment, but you'll clearly see he was, for example, we'll say looking towards Charlie Kirk, okay? He hears a bullet come from the direction that I'm illustrating with the orange arrow. But the media and the deep state, we'll call it the deep state at this point, they're claiming it came from the general direction of the red arrow, okay? So now I'm going to put up that footage, that clip, and I had to literally crop it from an Instagram video, which was originally basically so that's why it's a bit grainy, but this is the eyewitness in the immediate aftermath, and I'm just going to play this through. Let me put my earbuds in to make sure I hear this as well in real time, and I'll listen with you. But this is what he was saying, and watch what happens as he starts to give his account. Take a listen.
Are you recording this? Yes, you're live right now. Well, we're recording. I don't know if we're live because of the cell service. So, hang on.
I was standing in probably the third. Okay. I was standing from probably the third row in the bottom. I heard the shot ring out. I looked to my left, and then I looked over to my right. I saw him slump over in his chair forward. He slumped over. He had blood coming from the left side of his neck down his shirt, and he slumped over and he was carried off.
Deb, we're not doing it. Sorry.
Get off me! Get off me!
Emotions are running high right now.
Okay, so that was that footage, and I'll tell you folks, I was absolutely stunned when I saw this, because it, to a T, he was saying what I was saying. And let me go back to that, that PowerPoint slide, okay? So he's standing in the third row, so it would actually be slightly obscured by the building in the immediate foreground, okay? He hears a gunshot come from the direction of the orange arrow, not the direction of the red arrow, okay? So clearly there's a major discrepancy, a continuity error, as I continue to say. This is a major continuity error with respect to where they say the shooter was versus where it seems that the shot was actually coming from. Now, there's actually some question as to whether whether this was really a bullet that they were saying it was. I know, and I've done my research, as I mentioned earlier this week. There was an individual by the name of John Bray on X, and he did what was called an optical flow analysis, okay? A frame-by-frame analysis. He claims that the weapon could have actually have been the microphone. So he, as I understand it, and based on what John Bray was saying, he was holding a Rode mic, and I know what Rode is. That's a major audio company. And he, Charlie was holding his mic, okay? And it's entirely possible that the microphone was actually some type of weapon. Similar, you might even say, to back, if you recall, a year or two ago, I forget exactly when, but you had the leaders, leaders of, I forget if it was Hamas or Hezbollah, someone could correct me, but over in the Middle East, you had an Israeli, what's the word I'm looking for? Operation, where they took out some of the leaders, some of the people in Hamas, and it may or may not have been Hamas proper, but where they used pagers to take certain people out. That similar sort of thing could have happened using the microphone that Charlie Kirk was holding, because it is a wireless with a transmitter in it. Okay, and it's a common thing to have. For example, news anchors will often wear wireless mics, and it's linked up to a battery pack transmitter, and it transmits the audio signal to a receiver, and then it's brought into a system where it's played out over the air, and you hear it. So it's similar technology to that, basically. So in this case, it's a handheld mic, and it's transmitting to his audio out to somewhere there on site, and then it's going out on the speakers, obviously. So so that is sort of the short of this episode, but I want to actually show you that footage that John Bray put together, and this is on X, and I'll have to bring up really quick, because I didn't actually put this into the system before I went on air, before I started recording this. But let me just hang tight with me 1 second. So this is John Bray. There we go. This is John Bray's X account. I don't know John Bray's personally, but I give credit partly to SGT Report, because it was from his own material that I found this. And this, I'm just going to play this for you, because this is an optical flow analysis, and just take a look. Viewer discretion is advised. So you see the shirt puff up again. You see the entry there, and he's backing it up again. But you see clearly something, and he's drawing the line where clearly something's coming up from the lower camera left up towards upper camera right, and puncturing the neck of Charlie Kirk slightly above the collarbone. Okay, and that is pretty convincing, if you ask me. And I'm going to come back up on screen now. I think you've seen enough of that. But this is the kind of stuff that could get me suspended or removed from YouTube. I hope it doesn't happen, but please remember to go to thecitizenreport.net, bookmark it, write it down, go to Rumble, subscribe on my channel there. Subscribe to my channel there, keyword The Citizen Report. So this is a shorter broadcast than the last one, but I wanted to be to the point about it, and get right to the material. Again, this is just me building more and more layers to this. And, some people, and I'm just going to wrap up by just editorializing slightly here. You have certain people that say, oh, we shouldn't focus on this kind of stuff. We don't want to detract from what Charlie Kirk's, his work and everything. And I agree. I think that the focus needs to be as much as possible on furthering the agenda Charlie Kirk had, because he wanted to win people over, and I don't have anything, there's nothing wrong with that. The problem, though, is that they have clearly lied to us about what really happened with Charlie Kirk and that whole event. That's not even to account for the claims that all of this is a smoke and mirrors event, okay? And I have a lot of notes on that front, and I haven't even gotten to that yet. So, with that, folks, I'm coming up to the 20-minute mark, and I think that's a natural point to end this for tonight. But thank you so much for tuning in. God bless each and every one of you. Please remember once more, thecitizenreport.net. And by the grace of God, I'll see you right back here again next time. Have a great rest of your day and weekend, everyone.